ceilings have to be given because, again, the policy surrounding appropriation of money is by the executive. That is why ceilings are recommended. Once this comes to the House, the purpose of the House and the committees is to look at what has been proposed, and this is why we also do stakeholder engagement, the MDAs, the agencies. They come to us to say, this is the ceiling that has been recommended, but you as a House, you have actually to look at what else we need so that you make appropriate recommendations to the House. For the case of Justice and Legal Affairs, we have about 12 MDAs who come to us. We know we have the policy statement, we have the ceilings, but we are also able to listen. And today we were signing a report whereby we were recommending to Budget and Appropriations that the ceilings given are not sufficient for those MDAs. Where we have to make an alteration, we are making those alterations. But we have not been coerced. We have not been forced by anyone to write these reports in any particular form. Therefore, what he says is not correct unless there are other committees where there has been any such recommendation. So I totally disagree with the statement.
Honorable members, order. There's no debate on this. The Honorable Member for Gunja, the distinguished minority leader, has raised some very serious allegations without an iota of evidence. I would have expected the distinguished member to say, chairman of this and this committee has come and protested of being intimidated. On this and this day, a member of the executive came to railroad the committee to do this and that. No evidence whatsoever. So what the honorable member has said is just in keeping with his role as an opposition leader. He has every right to raise any manner of issues that he wants to keep the House busy. But it is not a matter worth debating. I can assure you, Honorable Wandai, that as long as I'm your speaker, this House cannot and will not be turned into a rubber stamp. And I want to encourage you that in the event you see any such traits, attempts, or even intentions to turn the House into a rubber stamp, the office of your speaker is open to you. And chairman of committees, if any one of you is intimidated, again, the speaker is here to protect you. And the law and the constitution also protects you in the discharge of your duties and responsibilities. So let the matter rest there. The Honorable Wandai has brought absolutely no matter to continue to discuss. Next order. Before we call the next order, honorable members, allow me to recognize a delegation of staff from the United Republic of Tanzania seated in the Speaker's Gallery. The delegation comprises of 2 members of staff drawn from the Legal Services Division of the National Assembly of Tanzania. They are welcome to observe the proceedings of the National Assembly of Kenya, and on my behalf and your behalf, we welcome them to the House of Parliament. Next.
Order number 8, motion. Ratification of the agreement on the establishment of the International Vaccines Institute. Question to be put.
Honorable members, I'll now put the question at order number 8, that this House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee on Health on its consideration of the agreement on the establishment of the International Vaccine Institute, IVI, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 5th December 2023, and pursuant to the provision of Section 8.4 of the Treaty Making and Ratification Act 2012, approves the ratification of the agreement on the establishment of the International Vaccine Initiative, IVI. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, motion. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements for the national government, ministries, departments, and agencies for the financial year 2020-2021. Resumption of debate.
Who was on the floor? Okay. There was nobody on the floor, and I'm told there is an amendment which I approved to be moved by the Honorable Mwengi Mutuse. Thereafter, and you know, the amendment will have to be debated and voted on. If it is procedural and agreed by the committee, we can, after moving and seconding, we can put the proposal and put the question so that we go to the main report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are moving an amendment of our report that was tabled before this House on the Thursday, 30th of November 2023. And if you allow, before I move the amendment, just to appraise members of this House, is that the report that we tabled indicated that the total, a figure that after scrutiny we realized that it was erroneous in terms of the total shareable revenue. And as you know, Mr. Speaker, public accounts reports serve not only accountability purposes, but they are also under Article 2 or 3 of the Constitution, sub Article 3, the basis on which the national and county governments share revenue at the start of the financial year for budgeting purposes. For clarity, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Mutuse.
Yes, just to read.
You are debating.
No, I just wanted to appraise members so that I read.
You don't have to move the amendment.
Thank you. With the guidance of the Speaker, I now read. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Chairman, the Honorable Badi, notice is given that the Chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee wishes to move the following amendment to the report of the Public Accounts Committee on the examination of the Auditor General's report on the accounts of the financial year 2020-2021 by deleting paragraph 30 under the general observations and recommendations on page 20 of the report and substituting therefore with the following. Statement on audited accounts of revenue for the period ending 30th June 2021. During the 2020-2021 financial year, total revenue recorded under various revenue statements as received by the national government amounted to Kenya shillings 1,713,642,981,513 shillings, representing a decrease of Kenya shillings 17,349,712 and 351 shillings, or about 1% when compared to actual collections of 1,730,992,693,894 Kenya shillings, realized in the 2019-2020 financial year as tabulated in the table that is part of this motion, and whose source is the Kenya National Audit Office. Mr. Speaker, the total revenue of Kenya shillings 1,713,642,981 and 513 shillings for the year 2020-2021 financial year, comprised of Kenya shillings 1,570,562,945,014 shillings as shareable revenue, Kenya shillings 56,238,304 and 456 shillings as receipts from government investments and public enterprises, and Kenya shillings 86,841,732 and 043 shillings relating to development revenue. However, the total shareable revenue of Kenya shillings 1,570,562,945,014 562,945,014 shillings reported in the 2020-2021 financial year differs by Kenya shillings 7,472,473,978 shillings, with the revenue receipts of Kenya shillings 1,578,035,418,902 shillings in the preceding financial year of 2019-2020. Mr. Speaker, therefore, the committee recommends that the total national collected revenue amounted to Kenya shillings 1,570,562,945,014 shillings, and which forms the basis of sharing of revenue between the national and county governments as contemplated in Article 203, Sub-Article 3 of the Constitution. Madam Speaker, I move, and I request the Honorable Ruto to second.
Who is your seconder? Okay, there you are. Honorable Member for Funyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the amendment, the motion as presented on the floor of the House by my colleague, Honorable Mutuse. And I want to draw the attention to the people of Kenya that Article 2033, it indicates clearly that the shareable revenue will be based on the recent approved by national accounts by the National Assembly. So it's critically important that once this motion is passed and the report is adopted, the next line of sharing will be based on these audited accounts. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I second.
Honorable members, I now propose the amendment that the motion be amended by deleting paragraph 30 under the general observations and recommendations on page 20 of the report and substituting it as moved by the Honorable Mutuse. Yes, Honorable Badi.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I thought maybe I would take a minute just to make it simpler. I know my colleague, Honorable Mutuse, who is a renowned lawyer in this country, has done justice to this amendment, and Honorable Undo, who is also my diligent member of the committee. But allow me just to maybe explain to members in a few words what this amendment seeks to do. Madam Speaker, you know we are required by the Constitution to every year divide revenue between national and county governments, and that should be based on ordinary revenue collected, audited and approved. So the last audited and approved accounts are the ones that is used. So that is why we are passing this motion to make that revenue available. Now, what is it that was wrong in the report which we are trying to correct? Madam Speaker, and this is something that we engage our minds to, we realize that almost all the years we have been making this mistake. So the mistake is this, that under non-tax revenues, we have been double accounting for the same amount, that we have been including the same amount twice in our reports, and we were almost doing the same mistake. So what is this? I will explain. Loan, you know, sometimes state corporations take loans, and when they take loans from the government. The government gives state corporations loans. They pay back to the national government that loan together with interest. When that money is received, it's usually paid to an entity which is called Government Investment and Public Enterprises. If you like, you can call it GPE. Now, once that money is received by
government investment and public enterprises, it is recorded as income or revenue. Then when that money is transferred in full to the exchequer, it is again recorded as income. So the same amount is recorded as income when it is received by this government investment and public enterprises, and when they transfer the money to the exchequer, it is again recorded. So what we are doing with this amendment, Madam Speaker, is very simple. We are removing this double entry so that we don't inflate government ordinary revenue. It is to the tune of 56 billion, so that we have the correct amount which is received by government to be used as the amount for sharing our revenue vertically between the national and the county government. So that is the essence of this amendment, Madam Speaker. I hope I have been a little clearer to the members. Thank you, and I support.
Honorable members, before we continue with the contributions, allow me to recognize seated in the public gallery, Bishop Alexander Muge Girls School,